Okay, so I'm sitting there minding my own business this morning. I'm scrolling YouTube. I do that early in the morning because I make political content. I need to make sure I haven't dropped a grenade in the world. Anyways, I'm scrolling YouTube and I see Mark Carney has done an interview with The Daily Show, the American political comedy show. They're mostly liberal Democrats in the way they lean. You guys know by now I'm excited to see Mark Carney run, right? He's an economist and we have economic challenges in this country at the moment. I'm not overly attached to the idea of Pierre Poilievre becoming the prime minister. All I care about is that the person who ends up in office makes my life better. Anyways, I see this interview and I'm like, word, let's see what this is about. So I watched the interview. It's just 19 minutes. It's basically Mark Carney declaring he's running for the liberal leadership without overtly saying that he's running. But what really irked me seeing this interview was this. So this is probably the first time that Mark Carney is speaking publicly about running for the liberal leadership. He hasn't even given any interviews or whatever here in Canada about the liberal leadership. So first time we hear from him is on American TV. Like, what the fuck? Like, do the liberals just never learn? Thank God for YouTube. Otherwise, I'd have needed a VPN to see Mark Carney declare his intent in a fucking Canadian election. Like, what does he think this is? American Netflix? Can someone remind this man that he's not running for governor of the 51st state? He's running for Prime Minister of Canada. The weird thing is, if he was looking for a great political comedy show, he could have gone on This Hour Has 22 Minutes. That's a Canadian show, and they're actually killing it right now. They just had Justin Trudeau on, and it was very fun. Believe me, they poked fun at him all throughout the video.
Oh, 2024, what a garbage year, hey? We've all had a horrible 2024, but nobody's had a harder 2024 than you. I mean, down and up holes, inflation, tariffs. Pierre Poilievre called you a wacko. I mean, just a garbage year. And for Canadians, it's been a great comfort that no matter how bad 2024 got, we could always say, you know what? At least we're not Justin Trudeau.
So that part kind of irritated me a little bit. Once I got over that, though, the interview itself was okay. They kept it light. I think he got a few jabs in about Pierre Poilievre. At some point, he even took a jab at the Trudeau government. He also addressed the Canada-US trade relationship. I'm going to show you some snippets from the interview right now. Okay.
Poilievre seems like a villain in a, Karate Kid movie. Like, there's something very, very off-putting. What is he like in person?
Karate.
Take your time.
You're not far off. I'll say this.
Yes.
There is a type of politician. You have a few of them here in the United States. I think we just
Stop it.
Yeah. They had a lot in and around Brexit.
Yes.
And we have Mr. Poilievre. In Canada, a type of politician who's, tend to be lifelong politician.
Really?
Tend to worship the market. They've never actually worked in the private sector.
Right.
And they see opportunity in tragedy, like you just had with the California fires, these horrible fires.
Correct.
And they see opportunity in tragedy to push an agenda that, here's one they prepared earlier,
right.
and they fit it in. And so whether it was Brexit, here often, the starve the beast type approach. So Pierre Poilievre, when COVID started, his reaction was, this is a good time to cut spending and cut taxes. Everyone's just been pushed out of a job. Nobody's got work. So let's cut the taxes on the work they don't have, and let's take away the social safety net when everybody's vulnerable.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I got the sense from this interview that Mark Carney has a sense of humor. You could tell that he's also a very cerebral man. There's actually good stuff in this interview that points to what Mark Carney's strategy is going to be in this election. I've narrowed it down to really two things. Number one, I think he will bury Justin Trudeau. Like right from the start of that interview, he kind of distanced himself from the current government and even said the Trudeau government should have paid more attention to affordability and to housing, I think was what he said. So I think that he will try to distance himself as much as possible, as a lot of liberals are doing, from the Trudeau government, from the Trudeau record. I think that is the correct strategy to take here. Number two, I think he will call Pierre Poilievre on some of his economic policies. If Mark Carney is as smart as advertised, this is the play to make. He has to make Pierre Poilievre back up his policies with numbers. David Eby did this very well in British Columbia, actually. So during the provincial elections, John Rostad, the conservative candidate, had a decent lead going into the debate. Then David Eby drew attention to John Rostad's lack of a costed platform. Next thing you know, we find out old Johnny Rusty is full of shit. So Mark Carney has to make the fight dirty a little bit. He has an understanding of macroeconomics that very few people can rival. And he has the accolades as well to back it up. He has done it before. So I think he will call Pierre on the feasibility of a lot of his policies. Actually, let me backtrack a little bit. I just realized I'm glazing this man a bit too much. He's actually got quite a bit of baggage coming into this race. While we praise him for the work he did during the global financial crisis, during his tenure as the Bank of Canada governor, his time as the Bank of England governor was actually a bit of a disaster. Here's how British financial columnist Matthew Lynn described Mark Carney's tenure as the Bank of England governor. He says, Carney presided over low growth and the decline of London as the world's leading financial center. The bank printed way too much money, stoking an asset bubble and ultimately triggering the highest inflation rate in the G7. Okay. Yeah, that's not a lovely review, eh? So that's end quote. So the other thing about Mark Carney is he's also big on net zero emissions, which is not very popular right now. And here's where it gets really controversial. There's pictures of Mark Carney with Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand woman. She was found guilty of child sex trafficking and other despicable things. I know the conspiracy theorists are just lapping this up right now. Was he on Epstein Island? Allegedly. Hey, I'm just telling you what's out there. All that baggage, this is literally Pierre Poilievre's wet dream right here, right? Look, every politician has their baggage. That said, I don't think Mark Carney will win this election. But I want to see Pierre Poilievre tested, even if it's just a little bit. I need to hear Pierre Poilievre break down his policies just a little bit more. So I like what he says about like removing government red tape to facilitate faster development of housing. Tell me more, Pierre. Tell me more. So that's just one example. I want him to give me a bit more. Like affordability, for example, is very important to me. So how are you going to put more money back in the pockets of Canadians, Pierre? I want to know these things. Anyways, this video was meant to be a short and sweet reaction. I think Mark Carney needs to get back to Canada and actually introduce himself to the people that matter, the people that actually will be voting for him. I want to see a real choice in the next election. None of this America first nonsense. You're not American. You're Canadian and Irish and British, but don't matter, right? Before I go, if you're new to my content, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're growing a great community here on this channel. Everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter whether you're conservative or liberal. I critique everybody equally, believe me. So get involved in the conversation. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.